That's right, gentlemen, you've read correctly. We're ranking every single Scout Cosmetic today. That means all of these, 186. We're gonna be here for a while. Batter's helmet, decent but not too good, B tier. Baseball Bill Sport Shine, C tier, not a huge fan. Bonk helmet, very good but not good enough for S tier. I feel like everybody knows this hat, so it's cool, but it's also not something I would wear all the time, so I can't put it in S. Yeah, Old Baker Boy, decent, B tier. Troublemaker's Tossle Cap, I think one of, if not the best Scout hat. It's really good, S tier. Whoopee Cap, I'd be ashamed if someone saw me with this, but it's not terrible enough to put it into F tier. Milkman, good hat, A tier. Not good enough for S tier, but almost. It's also better than the Bonk Helm. The Flipped Trilby, decent hat, not insanely good, not terrible, B tier. The Essential Accessories, S tier. Best shoes in the game in my opinion, also fully paintable, really good. The Superfan, D tier. Boring hat. It's not F tier because it's not actively terrible, but also just a really bad hat. Bombing Run. Also too good for F tier, but really bad. D tier. Sign of the Wolf School. It looks decent, but it's way too small to be noticeable. C tier. Planeswalker Goggles. F tier. They look terrible and they're not terrible enough to be funny again, so just straight F tier. Bonk Boy. Lower S tier. Very recognizable cosmetic, really good looking. Would actively wear this, really like it. Flip-flops, just below the Milkman, A tier. Lucky number 42, the definition of a mediocre cosmetic. It's not good enough for B tier, I'll put it into higher C. Backwards Ball Cap, good hat, but not good enough for A tier, high B tier. The Ball Kicking Boots, not good enough for B tier, I'll put it into C, but decent shoes. The Hero's Tail, good, but not S tier good, A tier. The Stereoscopic Shades, a decent cosmetic, but not good enough for A tier, I'll put it into mid B tier. The Foot and Commune, part of the Curse of Nature set, barely noticeable, looks terrible, F tier. And is also Halloween restricted, so low F tier. The Rap Battler, Halloween restricted also, but way better, lower C tier. No, actually high D tier. The Big Elephant Deal, F tier, but high F tier. It's very bad, but it's the best of the worst. El Chefe, mid A tier. Good hat. Front Runner, this might be a hot take, but I feel like this is only B tier. Mid B tier. The Crosscom Express, highly recognizable. Good cosmetic, mid A tier. Hermes or Hermes, I don't know. Very forgettable, not good enough for B tier, C tier. The Triad Trinket, I should mention I have multi-class items in here, but no all-class cosmetics. So if there's a multi-class one and it's for Scout also, I will rank the Scout version in here. Triad Trinket, decent enough for B tier, lower B tier. The Unk, probably the strongest part of the Curse of Nature set, good enough for lower C tier. As it's still Halloween restricted, it's still a very weak hat, but you know, I can put it here with a good conscience. The Crafty Hair, multi-class, and especially the Scout version, F tier. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I hate this. Spooky Shoes. I'd be ashamed to wear these, but if I had nothing else, I might wear them still. D tier. Lowest D tier. Booty Time. Not great when it comes to looks, but it does have the jingle bells on it, which actually produce a sound while you run around, which can be a decent gimmick. C tier. High C tier. Boston Boombringer. I love this thing, it has a great look, and also when you taunt with it, it plays a little MP3 boombox sound, which is just awesome. S tier. Fast Learner. Many people go to Scout Cosmetic. High A tier. I'm personally not the biggest fan, but I can see the appeal. The Tooth Kicker doesn't actively look terrible, but also isn't very good. Mid C tier. The Mutton Man looks terrible, I don't like it. D tier. Mid D tier. Actually high D tier. The Longfall Loafers, very forgettable cosmetic, also no longer available unless you have Poker Night 2 in your Steam library and have earned the achievements on it. So I'll put this into lower C tier as it isn't actively terrible, but just very forgettable. The Tomb Wrapper, off Scout's Halloween cosmetic, this is probably the most C tier one. Mid C tier. Pretty boring, but you know, it's there. The Wilson Wave, very forgettable, not good enough for B tier, C tier also, mid C tier, actually mid to high. The Dillinger's Duffel, a duffel bag filled with money, it's decent but not good enough for B tier, mid C tier. Yeah, Oiled Baker Boy, one tier below the old Baker Boy because it's a Robo version. It's decent, ish, mid C tier. The bacteria blocker. This for me falls under so bad it's good again. Especially if you get this in pink, you can make the fabled penis scout set, which is hilarious. So I'll put this into low A tier because of funny points. I can't put it into S tier, I can't. The Fed Fight and Fedora. Good scout cosmetic, not very good, but good. I'll put it into high B tier. Beastly Bonnet. It's a decent hat, but not good enough for A tier. I'll put it into mid B tier. Cheat Sheet, the other part of this cosmetic set, a lot more forgettable, C tier. The Greased Lightning, decent piece of hair, but not good enough for A tier, B tier. The Fawn Feet, actively terrible cosmetic, just not good enough for D tier, F tier. They're also Halloween restricted, and unless you like super love Grover from Percy Jackson, you just won't like this. It's bad. The Face Plant, good scout cosmetic. I would put it into A or B tier, but unfortunately Halloween restricted, so mid C tier. Voodoo Cursed Scout Soul, S tier. May scout into a zombie, unlocks many voice lines that can only be played if you wear this on Halloween. Really good, even though it's Halloween restricted, S tier. The Flight of the Monarch, too bad for C tier. I'll put it into mid D tier. I'd be kind of ashamed to wear this, but it's just not bad enough for F tier. The Digit Divulger only changes the gloves, and it looks pretty terrible at that. F tier. Mid F tier. Here, below the craft here. There. The Sack Full of Smismas. Mediocre, worse than the money-filled duffel bag. I'll put it into mid C tier. Mid to high. The Macho Man. Low S tier. One of the best cosmetics overall, but the scout version, not really high S tier for me. I like it. It's really good. Robot Running Man. High D tier. Just a bit too bad for C tier, but definitely no F tier cosmetic. The Baphomet Trotters. They're pretty much the good version of the Fawn Feet, as you'd expect, Halloween restricted. So C tier, low C tier, mid to low. Horrific Head of Hair. Halloween restricted, but pretty good. I'd say this is low B tier. Little Drummer Man, off the shirt cosmetics for scout. This one is pretty decent, mid B tier. The Terrier Trousers, make your scout feet into paws. I hated F tier. The Hound's Hood, on the other hand, pretty decent, pretty noticeable, but also suffers from the Halloween restriction. Mid C tier. Chuckle Nuts, strong A tier. Of those small animal cosmetics, this one is definitely one of the best. Runner's Warm-Up, just not good enough for S tier, but high A tier. Actually, a bit lower maybe. Yeah, decently high A tier. The Beep Boy, why is this available for scout? D tier. Actually, lowest C tier. Just doesn't fit scout, but it doesn't look bad or anything. Low C tier. That's good. The Spooky Sleeves, slightly better than the Spooky Shoes. Low D tier. It's not F tier yet, but it's almost there. The Halloweener looks kind of funny, but it's Halloween restricted. High D tier. Buck Turner All-Stars for Scouted Demo. The Scout version, pretty good, also paintable. Mid B tier. Flunky Wear, honestly kind of underrated. C tier. Mid to low C tier. Wouldn't love to wear this, but I think it deserves a little more love than it gets. The Champ Stamp for Scout, very decent cosmetic, mid B tier. The Sprinting Cephalopod, I would rank this lower, but since it actually plays squid running sounds while you run around with this, I'll put it into low B tier. Void Monk Hair, it's probably mid to high B tier. I don't think it's super terrible, actually maybe lower B tier. It's pretty good, it's just not a good cosmetic, but it's also not C tier. The Track Terrorizer, pretty mid scout shirt. I would probably put this into low B tier. Can't put it into C tier, but you know, it's nothing to write home about. The Weight Room Warmer for the Scout is very good. It's a very good cosmetic in general, but for me, for Scout, this is high B tier. The Hanger-On Hood is funny, but not good. C tier. High C tier. Below the Wilson Wave. The Caffeine Cooler. Very mid, like the other backpacks. C tier. The Bolt Boy. Very good scout cosmetic. Not as good as the Bonk Boy, but very good still. A tier. Right behind the Cross Cub Express. Actually, I might have to move Chuckle Nuts a bit. There, that's better. Cool Cat Cardigan. pretty decent, but not good enough for A tier, B tier, low B tier. Delinquent's down vest, pretty good actually. I think I'll put this into lowest A tier. That's good. Half pipe hurdler, very forgettable, but too good for D tier. I'll put it into low C tier. The flapjack, for me, just another scout shirt, but one of the better ones, I guess. B tier. Frenchman's formals, pretty good, gets mid B tier. The bonk leadwear, terrible hat. I wouldn't wear this over the gibbous. F tier. High F tier though. Big man on campus, I'd say about the same as the Frenchman's formals, maybe a little better, so B tier. The scout shako, C tier. Pretty mid, nothing great. Wouldn't be ashamed to wear this, but also it's it's nothing crazy. The soul survivors, I never see this used, and it's probably for good reason. Very forgettable, but not actively terrible enough for D tier, lowest C tier, below the Beat Boy. Ticket Boy, lower B tier. Argyle Ace, unfortunately pretty forgettable, C tier. The Paisley Pro, not good enough for B tier, I fear. Mid C tier. Right below the Scout Shako. Actually, that's mid to high. This is good. The freaking sweet Ninja Hood. Very good, but just not good enough for S tier. High A tier. Highest A tier. Really good Scout Cosmetic. And as you can see, so far, second best hat wear. I really like that one. The Red Socks, very forgettable, very mid. Low C tier. They are part of the Wicked Good Ninja Pack, which the freaking sweet Ninja Hood is a part of, but unfortunately they are by far the weakest part of the set. The Southie Shinobi, pretty good, definitely better than C tier. I'll put it into mid to high B tier. The Pomade Prince, I'd say this is about Wilson Wave level. It's pretty mid, actually maybe lower, somewhere around here, yeah. That's good. The Alien Cranium, Halloween restricted, which is why it is A tier, right below the Milkman. Really good Scout Cosmetic, but it is Halloween restricted. The Biomech Backpack, it's part of the same set as the Alien Cranium. I will put this into low B tier, definitely before the rabbit thing from earlier. It's pretty good, but Halloween restricted, so low B tier it is. Same for the Xeno suit, it just also really suffers from that Halloween restriction, but because it's part of that set, I think it's pretty good. Low B tier. Well, good enough for low B tier. The Thirst Blood, very strong Scout Cosmetic. I will put this into A tier, mid to high. Where do I put it, left or right? Here, A tier. Claws and Infect. Halloween restricted, for me, mid C tier. It doesn't look terrible, but it is Halloween restricted. I'll put it right here. Slap dab in the middle of C tier. Crazy Legs. It's part of the Rooftop Rebel Halloween restricted set, and it's definitely the weakest part of that. It is a Halloween restricted footwear that you can barely notice, so I will put this into low F tier. Terrible cosmetic. The Headhunter, which is the third part of the Rooftop Rebel set, is definitely the strongest part of that set. And even though it's Halloween restricted, I will put this into low A tier. Very cool looking. The Foul Fists, pretty terrible. I'll put this into high D tier. I really don't like this. The Nugget Noggin, it's just barely above D tier. I'll put it in low C tier. And the Talon Trotters can also stay in D tier, although I'll put these a bit lower. I'll put these low D tier. Terrible looking. The Brooklyn Booties. These are probably too forgettable for B tier, but they are very strong. Like, they're good shoes, so I'll put them into mid to high C tier. I think right here is good. The Thermal Tracker. I actually used to like this cosmetic a lot, but I don't think it's good enough for A tier. So I'll have this in mid B tier. Here's good. The Courtier's Collar. Pretty mid, but is it mid enough for C tier? Yeah. Yeah, this has to be C tier. I'll put it right here. The Harlequin Hoofs. Now, or Hoofs, I don't know. This might be a hot take, but I think these aren't actually that bad. I'll put them into low B tier. Mountbank's Mask. Good cosmetic, not good enough for A tier. I'll put it right here into B tier. Actually, that's maybe a bit high. Mid B tier. Right here. That's good. The Tutankhamons. I think these are also just pretty decent, but kind of forgettable scout boots. I'll put them in mid to high C tier. The Iron's Belt. Barely noticeable. And kind of ugly. Honestly, not even good enough for D tier. I'll put this in F tier. I'd really hate to wear this. I think it's worse than a gibbous. Actually, a gibbous is pretty good. I don't... F tier it is. The Flakjack. Pretty good. I think this is about the same level as this. Low A tier. I quite like this. The Fortunate Son. High B tier. This looks pretty good, but I don't think it's good enough for A tier, so I'll put it right here. The Cadet Visor. I'd say this is pretty good, but not good enough for A tier, so I'll put it right here, B tier. Also, I kinda have to move this down a little bit. Maybe like here. The Bargain Bicorn is part of this Scout Pirate set. I'd say it's kind of underused, actually. I'll put this into lowest B tier, because it's kinda mid, but it's good enough for B tier. Here is good. The Bargain Bridges, I feel pretty similar about. I'll put this into low B tier also. Lowest B tier. The Death Racer's helmet. Now, a lot of you might not agree with me, because this looks like a hat people might like, but I think this is pretty mid. Yeah, not even that good in mid, so I'll probably put it right here. Yeah, mid C tier. I don't like that one. The Thrilling Tracksuit. I'll put it into this low B tier crowd of shirt cosmetics. I think this is pretty good, but nothing crazy. The Bat Backup. I think this one's pretty forgettable also. Probably C tier. C tier is good. The Butler is this Batman belt cosmetic that everyone forgot about because it was just so mediocre. I don't think I can put this into C tier. I think this is too terrible for C tier. High D tier. The Crook Combatant is supposed to be part of this like Robin set, like as in Batman and Robin, but it only changes your hands, so it puts on these gloves. I think this is pretty bad also. I don't like it. D tier, though I will put it above the belt. The Sidekick's Side Slick, on the other hand, I feel like is a lot better than the rest of these Batman thingies we've seen, so probably mid B tier. Somewhere around here. That's good. And the 2 Knight, I actually quite like. I think this one came out well, and I will put it into high B tier. That's good. Maybe one lower. There. That's, yeah. The Bonk Batter's Backup, I will put right here, next to all the other forgettable Scout backpack items. But it says Bonk at least, so I'll put it high-ish. Hot Heels, actually decent Scout footwear, but still too bad for a B tier. I think I'll put it right here in C tier, mid to high C tier. The Air Dog, I think this is good enough for B tier, but not super high B tier. I think I'll put it right here, mid B tier. The Cordless Cuirass is part of this Scout Knight set, and I gotta be honest here, although the cosmetic set in total looks decent, I just have to put it where it belongs, which is right here in F tier. This is just a bad cosmetic, I feel like. On its own, this is terrible. The Herald's Helm, on the other hand, is that knight helm of this cosmetic set, and I think it's pretty good. This can be right here in high B tier. And the Squire's Sabatons, not as bad. I'll put these in low D tier, right here. Actually, here. That's, yeah. The Pestering Jester. I imagine a lot of you might not like this cosmetic set, but I actually think it's pretty good. I don't think it's good enough for A tier, but mid to high B tier seems appropriate. Right here. Yeah. The Wingman. I think yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's that bad. Maybe like a low C tier. Like here next to the other chicken item. I'm really not a huge fan. I just can't put it into D tier. It's not that bad. It's not Batman belt bad, you know. The Electric Twanger, it's just not good enough for B tier. I have to put this into C tier also. Maybe like below the Bonk backpack. I think that's appropriate. The Reader's Choice. I think this belongs into mid B tier. This is pretty good. It's also almost all class. I think only Medic can't use it or something like that. So it's pretty decent, but also not, it doesn't really stick out, you know. It's just a solid cosmetic, but it's not crazy. Snowwing. I'll put this, you guessed it, right here next to all the other Scout backpack cosmetics, mid C tier. The Airborne Attire, I think, will join the other B tier. Shirt cosmetics, this is pretty good. Actually, I have to move this down. And this one also. Yeah, that's a lot better. The Lightning Lid. I never see this used. I never ever see this used, but I think it's really, really good. I'll put this into probably high A tier. Maybe one below the freaking sweet Ninja Hood. The Messenger's Mailbag. Now, I'm gonna do something crazy here that no one's expecting and put this into mid C tier right here. Pocket Pauling. This thing is a lot bigger than this image lets on. This is actually as large as these other backpack cosmetics, but I think this one is the most unique of all of them, and that's why I'll put it into a low B tier, below the pirate set. I think this is actually kind of underused and kind of funny. I think this is good. The Speedster's Spandex. One of the more forgettable Scout shirt cosmetics. I'll put it into high C tier. It's not terrible, but you know. The Aloha Apparel. I actually really like that one, and that's why I'll put it into mid A tier. This is what I think this is not quite, but almost the best Scout shirt cosmetic. The Forest Footwear, terrible boots. I hate these, but do I hate them enough for F tier? Not really. I'll put them here next to the Bombing Run. The Jungle Jersey, strong Scout shirt cosmetic, strong. Not good enough for A tier, but right here in high B tier. The transparent trousers actually make your trousers look sort of camo-y, so I'll put it into C tier. It's mid, but I don't hate it. Probably next to these boots is a good place to put them. Yeah. The Trucker's Topper, mid hat with also very mid hair. I think mid C tier seems appropriate. Maybe right here. That's good. The Antarctic Eyewear, I feel like belongs into B tier, but not terribly high. Maybe right here is good. Yeah. The Blizzard Breeches, boring Scout trousers and shoes. I will put these into low C tier, probably lowest C tier. I really don't like these. The Punk's Pomp, off Scout's hair cosmetics. I think this is a pretty decent one, but it's not good enough for A tier. I think mid B tier is appropriate, next to the other piece of hair, but it's better. Here. The Wipeout Wraps, decent, but not good enough for A tier. I think mid B tier is probably appropriate. I'll put it right here. And I think I might have to move the big man on campus again. It's really not as good as I remembered it being. The Athenian Attire is part of this like Greek Hermes set, and I don't think it's bad at all, but it doesn't wow me. I'll put it right here in B tier. It's good, but it's also not, you know. The Hephaestus Handcraft is a decent Scout hat, but not good enough for B tier. I think it's good here next to the Knight Helmet. The Olympic Leapers, I think, are really underrated. I'll put them here in A tier. I think these are great Scout sandals. The Catcher's Companion is pretty cute. I think I'll put it into mid B tier. Maybe right here. That's good. The Juvenile's Jumper, I might be a bit biased on because I'm a huge fan of Christmas. So I almost want to put this into A tier. Yeah, I'll put it right below the penis hat. I think this is good. Really good. The Millennial Mercenary for me is a good Scout cosmetic, not because it looks really good, but because it makes me really aggressive if I get killed by a Scout wearing this. So I'll actually put this into high, maybe right here, high B tier. Very aggravating hat, very aggravating cosmetic. The Bottle Cap, in my opinion, pretty mid. I'm not a huge fan. I'll probably put it like here. Yeah, very mid, C tier. The Pompous Privateer is another like Scout pirate cosmetic, and I think this one's a lot worse than the other one, so I'll have to put it into C tier. It's pretty forgettable, but it's not terrible. I think right here is good. High C tier. The Speedy Scoundrel, I think I might put a bit higher. Maybe like a high C tier. Yeah, here's good. The fuel injector is a cosmetic I would have absolutely hated a few years ago, but I think this is maybe even good enough for C tier. I might put it into like low C tier, maybe above the Beat Boy. Here's good. One higher. There. The Remorseless Raptor, I think, is a really good cosmetic. It is Halloween restricted, so I'll put it into low A tier. I can't really put it higher, but I really like this cosmetic. The Wild Whip, part of this set, but I can't put it into A tier. I think this might have to be low B tier, maybe right here, next to the Alien Invasion set thing. Yeah. That's good. The California Cap, pretty decent hat, but nothing crazy at all. I'm gonna put it into B tier, next to these other decent hats. I think that's good. The Poolside Polo, just very forgettable. Pretty bad. I think this is gonna have to be mid C tier. I really dislike this one. The Soda Specs, of all the glasses you could be wearing, these are probably the worst for Scout, if you ignore the Planeswalker glasses. So I think I might have to put this into like high F tier. I don't super hate it, but I also kind of do. F tier. The Tools of the Tourist. Ooh, I have a crazy idea here. Mid C tier. The Boomboxers. These are really good. These are not all class, believe it or not. They are multi-class, or they are in this list here. I might put them into S tier. Maybe not. Maybe like A tier. Mid to high A tier. These are good, but not quite S tier. The Grounded Flyboy. Now this thing looks terrible, and it's Halloween restricted. Smack dab, middle of F tier. This is really, really bad. The Particulate Protector. This is pretty much just a mask, like a censored mask. This is not forgettable or bad, so I might put it into B tier, but it's also not like crazy good. So I think maybe right here is good. Maybe a bit higher actually. Maybe like right here. Yeah. The Fast Food, you already know, gentlemen. Mid C tier. Actually, maybe this one's one of the worst ones. So I'll actually put it into like a low C tier. Right here. The Fried Batter. You might be surprised by this, but I really dislike this hat. I just think it looks very bad. I would not wear this. Like, I just would not wear it. D tier. Maybe as like a joke. I don't like it. The Meal Dealer, same story, but maybe a bit higher. I'll put it like next to the very bad Beard. D tier. The Mattis Beak. This is obviously Halloween restricted, and I also don't super like it. So I think like a low B tier is appropriate, next to the other Halloween cosmetics here. Above the rabbit. The Computron 5000. This is multi-class and Halloween restricted. I think this is kind of decent. Also not really. I think I'll put it like in mid C tier, next to these other mid C tier Halloween cosmetics. Probably even, yeah, right here is good. It's better than the dog. Now here we are in really hot take territory. The Corpse Carrier. I know so many of you hate this cosmetic, but I think it's so funny. I think this is maybe the funniest cosmetic in TF2. This is S tier. This for me is an S tier cosmetic. If it's Halloween, I wear this thing. If it's Halloween and I'm playing Scout, the Corpse Carrier is on. This is the funniest cosmetic in TF2 for me. Maybe not the funniest, but it's like, it's up there. Awesome cosmetic. Please don't be too mad at me. Maybe you can be a bit mad, that's fine. Seasonal Employee. Looks terrible, but it also has the bells. So when you run around with it, it jingles. Which is a redeeming quality, I feel like. So I'll put it like in lowest B tier. Below the pirate set, but above the Miss Paulding. That's good. The Boston Brain Bucket is a pretty terrible looking hat, but is it bad enough for D tier? I think it is. Yeah, I really dislike this hat. High D tier. The Pest's Pads. These are so bad. These are actively bad cosmetics. If you wear these, they actively take away from your set. Lowest F tier. I despise the Pest's Pads. These are the typical, you unbox a cosmetic crate and oh man, I got the Pest Pads. Guess another thing that sits in my inventory and that I'll never use. By the way, if you created these, it's no knock on you, I just don't like the cosmetic. The Ripped Rider. One of the better Scout shirt cosmetics, but not good enough for A tier. I think right here in B tier is good for this. The team player, pretty forgettable. Mid C tier, next to these other shirt cosmetics. The throttle head, I think this one's actually pretty fun. I will put it right below the Shinobi cosmetic. That's good. The Imp's imprint, for me, another one of those forgettable C tier scout shirt cosmetics. I'll put it right here. That's good. Maybe a bit lower actually, like right here. The masked fiend, I don't hate this. Yeah, I don't really know where to put this actually. I think I'll put it next to this elfin cosmetic that I didn't know where to rank earlier either. So yeah, maybe one higher. Yeah, like this. I'll change it to this. This is good. If it was Halloween restricted, way lower, but it isn't, so here's fine. The Mootly sleeves, these are another tattoo cosmetic, but I feel like they're worse than the other one, like the other tattoo thingy. I might have to put this into like low-ish B tier. I think here is good. Mid to low B tier. The brimmed bootlegger, strong hat. Not good enough for A tier, but good. High B tier. The prohibition opposition, funny name, but pretty forgettable. I think like it's another one of those low-ish B tier. Here's fine. The jumping jester, I kind of dislike. It's not bad. It's like it's yeah, maybe C tier, mid to low C tier. The last laugh, kind of underused. I don't think I ever see this, but I'll put it all the way up here in A tier. It's pretty good. Also, I don't think I can keep El Jefe here. I think El Jefe might have to move, like right here into B tier. Yeah, that's more appropriate. The bonk beanie, dude, mid, just mid. It's a boring hat. It's like next to the other bonk thing that no one cares about. It's yeah, forgettable. The isotopic insulator, kind of decent actually. High B tier, right here. The Commonwealth Commando. I think this is a really strong scout hat. This is A tier for me. Right above the Milkman. That's good. And finally, the Tanker's Top. Kinda mid. C tier. And there it is. Only took me 2 hours. Every single scout cosmetic ranked. Here's the S tier if you skipped to the last part of the video, which a lot of you might have done. These are the S tier ones. The Tossel Cap, the Voodoo Cursed Soul, the Essential Accessoires, the Bonk Boy, the Boston Boom Bringer, the Macho Man, and most controversially, the Corpse Carrier. Thank you so much for watching. Click the video to the center of your screen now. If this video gets, say, 100,000 views, I will do Soldier next. Click the video in the center of your screen now to stay on this wonderful channel, and I'll see you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next video. Bye-bye.